Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll. And tonight, I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. What's up, bro?
What's
good
up,
to see you,
man?
Sandy.
Hey.
We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Shamato, how we doing?
Doing good.
Good, man. It's good to see you boys. We're back at it, back in action.
Yeah, on the grind again, man.
Yep.
Here
This
for
is-
another pod. The
Hey,
people.
this is episode 286.
Oh, my
Yep.
gosh. That's amazing.
It's weird when you say it out loud.
That is crazy. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
The people have called out, and they said, we want more Royal Geek Podcast. And so, yeah, we are here to answer
The call, yeah.
to meet those requests. Last week, we had a fun discussion. We did a report card show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we should have called it. Marvel Villains Report Card. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we graded Marvel villains in the MCU from phases 1 and 2. And we also did this. You guys did an episode doing the same thing for the DCEU villains.
Yep.
The
we
week
sure did.
the week prior.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago. So now we have a fun opportunity to continue the MCU gradings, and we are going to be doing the all the movies from Phase 3.
Yeah, phase 3, man. All the movies. Yeah, that's a ton. There's
Every
a ton
movie.
of movies.
I think it's 11,
Yeah, 11
maybe.
movies.
So I'll double check.
We did 12 last week between two phases.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do 11 this week.
Yep.
Okay. Very exciting. So before we do that, big thanks to all our listeners, everybody who's tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Be sure to like the podcast wherever you listen. Subscribe to it also wherever you listen. And also follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. We appreciate you guys so much. Okay, let's do it. Phase 3, Marvel.
Yep. And phase 3 is where they started to spoil us a little bit, where you started getting more than one movie per year. Because, it was from basically it was from 2012 to 2019, so like a 7-year period, and they got 11 movies out of it. So like a movie and a half per year.
That's pretty great, man.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. We really were spoiled, and there weren't shows yet. There was
Nope.
no series. It was just movies. And you're right. I Phase 3 is like where Marvel comes to life,
Yes.
like where they really set the standard.
Yes.
Some might even say peaked.
I mean,
For sure, peak.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's a bad thing because
We will
that
talk
means
about-
there's no peak right now.
We will talk
That's
about
a-
peaks tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we will. For
well,
sure.
it is an interesting idea. Like, most TV shows around season 3 or season 4 is where it's considered to kind of peak content wise.
That's true.
And it's kind of it's almost like it's like a full on TV series where season 1, season 2, phase 1, phase 2, we're building up, finding its footing. And in season 3, it's that's where it really hit its mark. It's its best stories, its best, setups, before anything gets stale or, run out.
So now, Justin, you are going to be taking down the grades for all of us.
Taking down the grades.
Okay.
Yep.
So first movie is Civil War, Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
Which basically was an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
They probably didn't we say this last week that they shouldn't have even done Age of Ultron. They should have just done Civil War as an Avengers movie.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, because that's what it was. But anyways, the villain of this movie that we're talking about tonight is Zemo.
Yes. Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo.
Yeah, which great actor.
Yes.
He's a renowned actor in the business. And the fact that this is phase 3 is where they start really reeling in the talent.
Yeah.
They've kind of established themselves in phase 1 and phase 2, so now here they are. They get to flex their muscle a little bit. I thought it was. Seeing Zemo in live action was something I didn't think I was going to see because I've always used to seeing him in his comic book run, but then also in the animated shows, and he's always that character who's like a little bit over the top, but then you kind of can relate to him because he's not really quote unquote special. He just has a motive. That's it, right?
He almost feels like an evil Zorro in a way.
Brilliant.
yeah, and he's smart.
He's like Moriarty.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good comparison, man. I thought that he had a lot of the calculations down in this movie. Like he always was thinking like steps ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and it was an interesting setup to where like it was this idea that he wasn't trying to necessarily like physically destroy any of them. He was like mentally trying to destroy everyone, exactly. and he had a relatively like it was a once you figure out why he's doing it, it makes sense. It's like which of course kind of negates what you were kind of saying just a moment ago. If you didn't have Age of Ultron, you wouldn't have the reasoning for why Baron Zemo is.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Is doing what he's doing because, of course, his family was killed in the Sokovian attack in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, the Sokovian catastrophe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if that happened in real life,
that'd be messed up.
Yeah. Okay, Zemo. I love Zemo. The reason I love Zemo is, I mean, he says it. I don't know if he mentions it at the end of Black Panther or somewhere else, but he literally is like, I knew I couldn't defeat them, so I wish I could remember the exact line, but he's like, I wanted to turn them against themselves to watch an empire fall.
Yeah. Well, I think basically he's like, you cannot take an empire out from the outside. You have to take it down from the inside. Is essentially what he was trying to get at, in that you had to make it destroy itself.
Yeah, and how quick he got them to turn on each other was pretty great, actually.
Yeah,
and this movie came out, I believe, in 2016. Pretty sure had to be 2016 because Age of Ultron was 2015. So it had to be a year later. I'm almost certain.
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh no, I was wrong on the timeline. So we definitely got more than 2 per year.
Ant-Man was after Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
So Age of Ultron must have come out in May, and then
actually I think Ant-Man was a February release. I think so it came out the year after. I think.
You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Point is, actually I don't know what the point is, but we'll just say this: Zemo's great. We need to grade him.
Yes.
Yes.
Who wants to go first this time? T-roll.
I'll go first because I do think it's hard. Sometimes I hear you guys say something I'm like, maybe I should alter my score. So I'll go first.
I already wrote my score down, so I can't be changed.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Zemo gets A-.
Okay. A- for T-roll. What about you, Shamato?
I'm going to go a little lower than that. I'm going to go with a solid B. I think he gets a little like, I think we think of him a little bit higher later because of some of the stuff he does, and he's one of the few bright spots in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I think he gets a little bit of a bump in our mind.
Yeah,
and I think he wasn't as fleshed out in Captain America Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll put him at like a B.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm joining you at a solid B. So B. I think he's very solid. I mean, I really enjoyed the character, but I think just B is where I'm going to land at.
Fair enough.
B for Baron.
I'm an easy grader, I guess. Okay, next movie is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, the first one, his origin story movie. So again, we mentioned this last week about how sometimes in origin story movies, the villains take a back seat because they just can't spend as much time building those characters out when they have to focus on the namesake of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in light of that, we're gonna review 2 villains. Caecilius, who is much more of the ever-present,
upfront guy,
upfront villain, and
the mini boss, really, but
yeah, that's right. And then Dormammu, who was definitely in control, but we only got so much of him.
Right, correct. Very limited.
He did have such a big impact, we're still going to consider him in the grading. So what do you guys think? Who do you want to start with?
I mean, honestly, I was a little let down with Caecilius because you tell me that you got Mads Mikkelsen coming in here to play a villain. Oh, sure, sign me up. The dude is a walking villain. Like he looks like a villain. Like he looks like somebody
made for it.
You would not want to run to.
He just come off being like Hannibal,
right,
and of course earlier he was in
Casino Royale.
Casino Royale, yes.
But yeah, like you tell me that's going to happen, but then he was kind of, I don't know, very forgettable, honestly, in that movie, because I think we were all more drawn to Benedict Cumberbatch's performance because it was so. I mean, he stole that whole entire movie. I mean, yeah, it's his movie, but still, he was very prominent, and like his scenes were always like top notch, and he was the focal point there.
Yeah.
So I think that might have led to that. So Caecilius for me is like very forgettable.
Yeah, Caecilius was. I didn't really. I mean, actually, I could understand his motive to some extent because it becomes clear that the Ancient One did actually. She was a liar.
Yes.
Which is what he accused her of.
The real villain.
Yeah, the Ancient One was really the villain.
Yes.
Hypocrite. So I guess he did have a good motive, but it kind of felt he's certainly not as bad as some of the villains we had in our last episode.
I mean, he's pretty bad for me, but anyway.
Yeah.
Are you gonna give him an F?
Spoiler, yes, I'm giving him
a
an F.
Straight F.
F, yes.
Oh, I don't think he's that bad. I mean, again, the grading's tough because in my mind, I go instantly to ranking, which we're not ranking them.
We're not, no.
But to say he's an F when I know that we also gave.
How this F plus?
Thank you for that.
You're
I needed
welcome.
that.
Yes,
I'm glad I can convince you.
Yeah,
He's got to be better than freaking Malekith. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, F plus.
F plus. Yeah. Has anyone ever gotten an F plus in anything?
It's like you suck, but kind of like.
No, he's not good, and his eyes were freaking me out the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
his character design was interesting, like the whole monk, but
See, again, he
demonic kind of.
He probably could if they had more time. I'd love to see, and that's the thing. Like you jump in midstream, he had already made his heel turn.
Yeah,
or if they had just given like a maybe like a flashback of something like the moment where
something
he was like, yes, like where you were like, oh, this is why he's doing what he's actually doing. Like maybe he saw the Ancient One do
Correct.
diving in and like just it instantly was not like hit him the wrong way, and he's like, I have to fight this. You know,
right?
Yep. So I was gonna give him a D.
Okay.
Yep.
D?
Yeah, I'll join you with a D.
Yep. Okay, speaking of D, how about Dormammu?
Dormammu.
I've come to bargain.
I think his overall presence for me, like he was in the background for majority of this movie, but his presence was enough to where I was like, okay, I could see why Doctor Strange is pushing himself so hard, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, like he has a really cool scene at the end. And that's really about it.
That's really it.
Yeah.
But based off of that, for me, like I'm gonna give him like a D plus for that one.
I was thinking D plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
There's really not much to say aside from that scene where he keeps killing Doctor Strange and he realizes what time is.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool
It was
scene.
pretty great, actually.
He's like, what is this?
Although truthfully, that isn't even. It's not him. It's once again, it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's true. That's
You're
true.
not really
Yeah.
like it's the coolness of Benedict Cumberbatch in that moment more than anything that Dormammu was actually doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah. Great point.
Okay, next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and our villain of the hour is Mr. Ego.
Yes.
Kurt Russell.
Yes,
Like
good
I
old
said,
Kurt
they
Russell.
pulled the names for this next phase here, man. Phase 3 is actor
Yeah,
central.
they really did. They really did, actually.
Yeah. Kurt Russell, there's something about his charisma, and like every movie he's in, he just draws your eye. Like even from the Christmas Chronicles, like that's like he draws you in, man. He makes you watch those ridiculous movies. But honestly, like I think when we did our ranking of everything, I think I was the Volume 2 over Volume 1
Like you
guy.
love Volume 2 over
Yeah. And a lot of it had to do with like Kurt Russell. Like I really enjoyed him overall, especially when he has his little heel turn towards the middle where he's deceiving everybody, and the flashback of like him planting all the seeds on the planets and like being kind of like very mischievous and like villainy, right? I enjoyed that part of it, man. So I mean, I'm pretty high on Ego, but what about you guys? Not as high, I'm sure.
I mean, I felt like he was a super solid villain, and when they did a really good job of like giving you something, like, and you felt for Peter Quill as he was getting like the opportunity to have this relationship with his father after having it taken away with his mother, and you're like, he's finally like got something.
Yeah.
And then you're like, they pull the rug, and Kurt Russell had, you find out, what he's all really
what
about.
he's really doing.
Right.
Yeah, and so like you really do feel that extra like momentum in that betrayal when he does it, even though you've only known him for this part of the movie. Like it really feels like a big betrayal because it leads back to everything that Peter feels about family. So it definitely hits hard.
Yeah. And I think it kind of drills in the whole mentality of like family is not just blood. Like, and it kind of forced Peter to see that the Guardians were his true family.
Yeah, and I think because of the fact that like kind of Guardians was like, oh, was this just a one-off mission type of thing, and then it like really the second one kind of made it like, no, this is who we are. We are our family to each other. It wasn't just this moment of circumstance.
Yep. And Yondu was daddy.
Yeah, yes. Yondu. Yeah,
he may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yes,
so wonderful.
Yeah, I think Ego, like you said, Shimano. I think he had a solid performance. Kurt Russell did great. I'm not high on the movie, but I think again this gets to my theory of all a movie needs is just a solid B-level villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was thinking B. I have a feeling you're going to go higher, Justin, and you might sway me up to a B+. But that's the highest I could go. So what are you thinking?
I'm actually doing B+.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I'll probably keep it as a B then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm
Cool.
going to go with the A-.
Hey,
There you go. Yeah,
okay. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So, good. All right. I feel much better now. Okay.
Good.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about this one, Spider-Man: Homecoming. So, real quick before the villain, this is well, I mean, we get Spider-Man in Civil War, which was cool, really cool. Although they should have not revealed it in the trailers, but whatever. So that was cool to get Spider-Man in Civil War. But this is the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Big deal.
Big deal. Big villain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Michael Keaton.
I should say,
Big
big
name
actor.
villain.
Yeah,
once
I knew
again.
you meant.
Big
Trust
actor,
me, I knew what
yes.
you meant.
Not necessarily the Vulture,
Yeah.
but
as a Vulture is by no means in the top tier of Spider-Man.
no,
villains.
but now forever, when I think of Vulture, I'm like, oh yeah, Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For
You know?
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, Shimano, what you think of Keaton's performance? What you think of the Vulture?
I thought he was like incredible. Like I
Yeah,
felt like
yeah,
he was so good. He was so menacing.
Yeah.
And like just thinking about like the reveal moment where like he comes to the door and like it's he's coming to pick her up and it's you can just
Oh my God,
see,
that car ride, dude!
and then the car ride
Oh
afterward
my
and it was
gosh.
just like you just see it's so tense and like it's such a they're playing off each other so well and they're talking and like everything is like has double entendres. And, like, his date is just kind of sitting there, and she has no idea what's really going on.
No clue.
Like, she has no idea. And it's just, like, they are... And you feel for the Vulture in a lot of ways, because the way he presents his argument is like, he was just this guy who was just,
Yeah.
he was trying to rebuild, and,
He found an opportunity.
He found an opportunity to make
yeah.
money for his family in a way that, I mean...
Yeah. Only to have the government contracted
Yes.
to an quote-unquote Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stark Industries.
Yes.
Yep. He had real motive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he posed a real threat to Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and he was menacing, just like Michael
Yes.
Keaton. Like the scariest part of that movie, for real, I just mentioned it, but is that car ride. Where I'm just like ah,
Yeah.
and that whole angsty feel, like just what you guys saw me do.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like this movie too much, because it makes me anxious.
Yeah.
Because it's high school drama.
Yeah.
But I will not deny that he was a really, really good villain.
Yeah. Stellar.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Easily.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I'm grade that out as an A- for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking A-, B. Yeah, no, he's definitely better than B+. I'm going to A-.
Okay.
I'm going to give it an A.
Oh,
I'm thinking a solid. Okay, you're going A.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking in my head like 91, 92. Like that's how when I say A-, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. So,
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Amato goes A. He's a little higher, but again, I don't blame you, Amato. He was sensational.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, now to my favorite Marvel movie ever, Thor Ragnarok. The third Thor movie. Talk about there has not been a bigger going like in terms of like the next movie up.
Oh, I know. Oh, you're right.
in all of Marvel's history, well, maybe all Marvel, at least all of MCU history, there's not a bigger improvement from Thor: The Dark World to Thor: Ragnarok.
Literally scraping the bottom
to the very top.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wish we could just talk about the movie. I'm going to try my best not to.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Hela.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thor's sister.
That's a huge part of it because I don't know how many times I've said it right now, but Phase 3 brings the people, right?
Okay, my bad.
Hela is a great Kate Blanchett.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal actress.
You're right.
Yes.
Phenomenal actress, and so she does a great job in this movie, and she's truly you fear her.
Yeah,
she
is a force.
Like when she starts taking out these Asgardians that we
spawning blades out of thin air.
Asgardians we loved. Like
she destroyed Mjolnir.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
And what's his name? Shogun. Killed him.
Yep.
Like nothing. Right.
Yep.
Oh man, dude.
Oh yeah, she gets through the war. Yeah.
Fandral, he's dead too.
They're all the
dead.
Warriors 3.
Yeah.
The Warriors
are knocked off.
Yep.
When she shows up and she's got this big monologue, and he says, "Whoever you are, whatever you've done, surrender now, or we'll be forced to kill you or take you." Or something. And she says, "Whoever I am, were you not listening to a word that I said?" I was just like, dude, I just felt it, and it was it perfectly. This was so great about the movie. It perfectly took the seriousness of that monologue, and also had a really funny moment to cap it off that made sense and fit well. You know,
and it also not only was a funny moment, it also added to her menace. That in this moment, that after after they were like that, she was still that calm and that composed, and you're like, oh, she's the real deal.
Yeah,
you're not it wasn't like she went off the rails and was this blew up in this moment. She was still very calm and collected and just menacing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think sometimes you could have a villain where excuse me, the director makes the main characters fearful of the villain, and it doesn't really make sense. You're like, oh, come on, they're not that big a deal. You could overcome them.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about this movie, the way Taika portrayed her, Loki and Thor were both she's a problem.
Yeah.
Odin knew she was a problem.
Yeah.
Everyone knows she's a problem. Valkyrie knew she's a problem.
Yes.
That's why Valkyrie's I'm not going back there at first, I'm
not touching her.
So she was a real force, plus Kate's performance was great.
Mm-hmm.
And just the movie was freaking amazing.
I mean, just think about this singular fact. This is, from what I can remember, the only time in the entire MCU where Thor was I cannot defeat a villain.
Yes, you're right.
He had to pull in an outside helper. I mean, he may have used some of his brain to actually do that, but
even every moment he ever had with Thanos, he was still confident.
Yeah.
Yes.
But with Hela, he was he literally was admitting to his dead dad, I can't beat her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he didn't have to. He had somebody else do it for him.
Yes.
So that's how
true.
Crazy she is.
Yep.
That's how wild she is.
Yeah, they needed the prophecy to come true to defeat her. Okay, let's give Hela a grade.
Oof.
Who wants to go first?
This is a tough one. I don't want to go first. I don't have one in my head. I can be swayed.
Again, if I got to think not ranking wise.
I just thought of one, but go ahead.
I'm going to say A-.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
But I could be swayed to go up. I wouldn't go down.
I think I'm gonna go with an A.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Well, I'm actually.
You're doing one of the two.
I'm gonna go A-.
Okay, A-. Yeah.
A- for sure.
I think that's fair, but she's right on the cusp. I'd say she's a 92 to 3. Okay. Gosh, I love that movie. You guys want to just turn this off and watch?
Let's do it right now.
All right.
Anything
man.
record.
Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Black Panther.
Ooh. Jeez,
Should we just say A+ and move on, or what are we doing here?
I mean, do you really want to answer that question?
No, not yet. We'll build the suspense. Okay. Michael B. Jordan playing the role of Killmonger.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
He came to play in this movie, and first off, Michael B. Jordan, you can't get any better than that, right
You're
there,
right,
man.
Now that I'm looking at this list, I'm like, man, these are some great actual actors they got across the board.
Yes.
For sure. And I think Chadwick Boseman, he's such a large personality, right? Like especially in this movie as T'Challa, that it would take something equally as superior to match.
Yeah.
And it was Michael B. Jordan. And the opposites that they are, like T'Challa was so regal and like very like proper. Yeah. And to the complete opposite of Killmonger. Like they really were like yin and yang.
Angry, violent.
Yes. And they're the same coin but two different sides. Like that was played up to a T.
So evenly matched.
Yes. Oh yeah. And their mentalities, you talked about it, T-Roll, but like the mentalities are completely different. Whereas T'Challa's striving for peace, and Killmonger is constantly looking for chaos. Like it's so well done, so well done. And then to add on to all of that, Michael B. Jordan's performance and saying that like he was just trying to recover from being like the forgotten son. Like he was just trying to reclaim something that was rightfully his, but it was thrown away because of some old factions that they were not in line with. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
There are a few villains throughout the whole MCU. A lot of the good ones have motive, which we've talked about a lot. Yeah. So we know that Killmonger has motive. What really sets Killmonger apart, even to some extent from a guy like Thanos in terms of his motive, is we see so much of it on screen. Yeah. They don't just tell us. Yeah. In my opinion, they don't just say, like, here's why he's upset. Yeah. Here's why he's angry. Right. It's like, no, you see him playing basketball, and you know that he's going to go find his dead dad. Yeah. Yeah. As a kid. Yeah.
That's so true, man.
Yeah, straight up, it's like, it's not hearsay. It's not like, oh, Mr. Like, it's literally the dude killed his dad. Like, it's not even like a misconception or like, oh, it's not exactly what you thought it was. It's literally, for whatever reasons he may have had, he straight up just killed his father. Yeah.
And just there's so many valid like just like the cultural impact too. Yeah. Of Killmonger feeling like, okay, these high and mighty people in Wakanda having all this technology and they're not doing anything to help people like me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leaving us around the world. Streets. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. So like you really like, again, maybe more so than any villain. And we could maybe have a fun comparison later with Thanos in terms of motive, but you see so much of it on screen and you feel it. And so it's the total package. The only bad thing about Killmonger is that they killed him off.
Yeah.
That's right. The only thing.
That is the only bit.
Dude,
only
seriously,
bad
thing. That's the only thing I remember watching this movie. I'm like,
even his visuals, like dude, incredible, absolutely incredible.
You mean like the cinematography?
Yeah, with like any scene that he's in, like like the way that they shot him.
Screen. Yeah. When the camera's turning from upside down, when he's walking into the throne room. Yep. When he's standing there, the flowers are burning, and you just see his like silhouette almost.
Yeah, and then just like when he's talking to, like when he comes, he's like, "Hey, auntie," like when he,
that's
right. The way he turns his head, like just the way he's like, oh man, it's so good.
So, and that's the thing. It's like he didn't like his performance was so good that he didn't need the camera work and the production and the director to like make him better, but they did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like there's some actors, there's some performances. If I thought long enough, I could probably think from last phase of like a villain where it was like they weren't that great, but they made them look so much larger than life.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't need it, but he also got it, which is another reason that this is a top tier.
Elevated him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I will say, like, although he only got the one movie, like I think him dying like adds so much to his performance, and like the fact that he was like he didn't want to live in this like under the it's an extension of his idea of like he doesn't want to live under the rule of thumb that is there. Yeah. Like he doesn't want to become a part of their system. Like he does not want that. He does not want to become almost. I think in a way it would have been in his mind like selling out if he had given in to T'Challa's rule after him being defeated, you know?
Yeah,
like so like although you would love to see him again. I really do think it just was like an emphasis on the point of him sticking to his guns of his beliefs.
Instead we get probably the biggest mic drop like last words in all of the MCU.
What was that?
When he says, throw me in the waters with my ancestors who believed it was better to die than to be enslaved, or whatever he said.
That's
to
true.
die a free man than to live as a slave.
Something like that. I'm not good at remembering everything.
Good point.
Okay, time to grade him.
Yeah.
A+.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
For me.
A+.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy.
No doubt. I mean,
I remember coming out of that movie and I was like, was he just as good as Heath Ledger? Like, I remember coming out of that thinking, like being willing to have that conversation, because he was that on the flirted with the line of being so unhinged, where you questioned about, is he that terrifying, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like choking women, and like, I mean, he was wicked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, as much as I said like his argument was sound, his motive was good, there's also some elements of like, yo, he's freaking wicked too.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Again, that might be another fun discussion, like who can get the closest?
Yeah,
like
how close? You're right.
If Heath Ledger's sitting up there on top of Mount Everest, how high is everyone getting in that climb?
Yeah.
That's a great conversation, actually.
Yeah, that is. Okay. I just remembered. We should have started with Claw. There's literally another villain in this movie. So just real briefly, Claw, who gets introduced in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't have to have as long of a conversation, but how did you guys feel about his performance in Black Panther?
Andy Serkis in anything is a genius.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, I loved his delivery of all his lines, and it
was cool seeing him in live action.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
no
you
prosthetics.
You don't get to see that a whole lot for him.
I mean, I'll grade him out as a C. I think he did an exceptional job for what he had to work with and what he was there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give him a C+.
Sure, I'll go C+. I mean, I think if he had more time, he could be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think essentially he was just there to serve a purpose.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Like, if they could have literally done, if they wanted to, they could have done a whole Black Panther movie where he's the villain.
Yeah.
And then a second one where Killmonger's the villain. They could have, because he's that good.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
he just didn't have that much time. So we'll just give him a C+.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On to... Gotta get ready for this. On to Infinity War.
Yes.
Yep. Here we go.
Which some people have called not Avengers Infinity War, but Thanos Infinity War. Because
this was his movie.
he was the protagonist.
Yes, he was. You're right.
Which is true. So who is the villain?
Fair enough. That's fair.
Yeah.
For sake of simplicity, we will say that Thanos was the villain.
Yep.
Because he is the villain in Marvel, in the MCU. Let's focus primarily on Infinity War.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he comes out the gates just freaking destroying the Hulk and setting the tone for the entire movie.
Dude,
that's the one thing about Infinity War that I think it does better than all of the other movies. It sets the tone and it doesn't lose that tone.
No,
dude, each step along the way is nuts.
Even the radio call from like the vessel from Ragnarok or from
right. Asgard.
Asgard, thank you.
Yep.
Where it's like you didn't get a normal like happy fun Marvel kind of like dun, 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 you get nothing like that. It's just like
breaker like
if anyone can hear me, this is this is not a warship. We're just civilians, and Thanos does not care.
Does not care at all.
Wipes out half of them.
Yeah.
He's looking for the Tesseract. He's already got at that point. He's got the Power Stone. But that's it.
Yeah.
At that point.
That's all he has. And he's throwing Hulk around.
Yeah.
And Thor, honestly, Thor and Hulk just get wiped out in his first 15 minutes of the movie.
Chokes Loki to death.
Yes.
Leaves his dead body there.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Heimdall's.
Kills Heimdall. That's right.
Gosh, dude.
That's right.
So, from the jump of this movie, Thanos has completely obliterated all hope. And you know what? The rest of the movie, you never see a glimmer of hope again. That's how devastating he is.
There's one moment of hope, but then it's quickly dashed.
What was the one moment of hope?
The moment right before Peter decides to screw everyone over.
Yes.
That's the moment of hope.
Because they had me going. I was like, are they going to get this? I knew he was going to get it back, but I was like, are they actually going to get this off his hand? And they halfway did. He literally grabs the gauntlet as it's coming off of his palm.
Yep.
Oh man, that was.
But that's a last moment. That's a one moment of hope.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's so short lived, right? I mean,
But it is like most of this movie is about like just beating the pulp out of the people who have been the heroes
for so long,
for a decade now, and you're just seeing them just get handed to them left and right, and just
nobody stands a chance.
Getting torn down.
Yeah. Something funny that I did. My father-in-law, he doesn't really watch movies at all. But we were on a beach trip, and I wanted to watch Avengers: Infinity War. I wanted to watch it just because it was available, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it with you. Right?" So this is honestly like one of his first like Marvel movies ever.
Okay.
And he's watching this movie, Infinity War, and he's like, "Justin, you like these superheroes, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, they all kind of suck. So in his mind, they're all bad. Like all these heroes are bad. Like
bad at what they do.
But and then we immediately watched Endgame afterwards.
And dude,
he was like, okay, well, I guess he wasn't that strong.
And see, that is what makes Infinity War truly one of a kind. How many movies does the villain win so clearly?
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yeah.
How
many times it ends and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like that feeling, I try to think about that feeling from time to time when I'm in the theater and like we're watching it happen, and we were there together. I'm almost certain we were all together.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're there and we're watching. I'm like, just the hopelessness you feel as that movie ends, and you're like, I remember saying to myself, I heard that Thanos was a big deal. I was prepared. I felt I was pretty prepared.
Yeah.
But I wasn't necessarily prepared to think like, oh, he's gonna like win, and the movie is over.
Yeah.
It's over.
And there's no like, there's no like, end like at least uptick. There's no like, oh, we're going to, like hope. Like there's no. There's none.
You have no idea how you're getting out of it. Yeah.
The last shot is him on his farm,
mm-hmm, yeah.
And it cuts to black.
I remember in the movie, watching this movie, it was the scene where everyone's like fading away to dust, and I remember looking at my watch and being like, "Holy crap, this movie's over!" Like, there's no way that you can resolve this. And I remember looking over at T-Roll and I was like pointing at my watch, and you were like, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like,
yes,
yeah.
And that's the thing, dude. Here's the thing. I heard about the snap even like in the trailer. Gosh, what's her name?
Gamora.
Mm-hmm. She's like, he could snap his fingers and wipe out half the universe. and I remember hearing about the snap in the comic books, and every time, as prepared as I was, I said, yeah, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Yeah.
And then they literally did that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was pretty great, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So Thanos, man, I mean, we get the payoff of years of waiting because his premiere is in 2012 in a post-credit scene.
Yep.
We see him briefly in Guardians 1, and then we see him in the post-credit scene of Age of Ultron.
Yep.
And that's it. And then the next time you see him, he's kicking freaking the Hulks. He's just wiping the floor with the Hulk.
Yes, he is. Oh, my gosh.
All right, what else to say about Thanos before we actually grade him?
I mean, I'm ready to grade him, man. I mean, Josh Brolin.
I'm on the fact that he just has like such clear motives.
Yeah.
Like
clear. Let's talk about motives. Thank you.
Oh,
Shimano.
yeah, great.
So we don't see his motives literally like we did for Black Panther for Killmonger.
Mm-hmm.
But he does he uses the Reality Stone to kind of explain to Strange what happened on Titan.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
It does.
And you get it.
And we're kind of living it.
And again, is he a psychopath? Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But he even admits, he's like, it's random.
Mm-hmm.
There's no picking and choosing. He's just wiping out half of existence so that resources will last. They called me a madman. Like you really get his motive and it really clicks. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know it's genocide, but
and in his eyes, he's just trying to prolong life. Like that's what he's trying to do.
Yep.
Civilization he's trying to carry it on because he saw it fall.
Watch the sunset on a grateful universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is what he says.
Yes. He literally thinks he's the hero.
He does.
And he ends the movie as the hero, like in his mind, right?
Yep.
He accomplishes exactly what he set out to do.
Yeah. And then how can we talk about Infinity War? How can we talk about his motive? How can we talk about what makes him so special without talking about the scene with Gamora?
Yeah. You're right.
Yep.
Again, like, she is even convinced. She's laughing because she thinks he's beat.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't love anything.
He'll never be able to get the Soul Stone because there is no love.
Nothing that he loves.
Yeah. And the look
that
she gives Red Skull when he's like, it's not. Oh my gosh! When he just, oh my gosh,
tears aren't for him.
Yes, those tears are not for him. Oh my gosh, dude, it's just chills, absolute chills,
dude. It's chills right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, again, this movie at so many moments where like your jaw is hitting the floor.
Yes.
And in fairness, there's scenes in this movie without Thanos in it where your jaw is hitting the floor because it's a great movie overall. But him as the villain, everything he did, like, you get his motive, you connect with him emotionally, and you see how much of a physical threat and force he is.
Yes.
And yeah, is a lot of it because of the gauntlet? Sure.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, we're going to talk about him in another movie where he doesn't really have the gauntlet and he still kicks a lot of butt.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right, time to grade him. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yep.
A+.
Across
the board.
A+ across the board.
Yeah, no, there's no denying that. That was the easy one sure.
When you say A+, what number range are you telling yourself in your head?
When I say A+, I'm thinking 98 to 100.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. In my mind, it's 97 to 100, and so like I'm giving. Yeah. In my mind, I'm like Thanos is like a 97, and then like Killmonger is like a 98. Like that's how I'm thinking in my head.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
If you're ranking them, I probably would rank them the exact same.
Okay.
But I'd give them both 98s.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Maybe even 99.
Honestly,
I'd probably give them
A+.
If in my opinion, if we're saying that the 100 is obviously the Joker from The Dark Knight,
99,
then I'd probably give them both 99s.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, no, never mind. It's a whole other pod. Never mind.
Okay.
I was going like the Joker is beyond 100.
Save it. Yeah. Save it.
He gets all that extra credit.
Oh yeah, he did the extra assignment. That's what it is.
Is it Madden or is it the NBA games where like there's too many people who are like 99s and it's like not realistic?
It was Madden.
It was Madden.
1 year in Madden. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you lower the value of what it means
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways,
they got greedy.
Yeah. Okay. From an amazing villain to like, all right, let's see where this goes. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
Talk about forgettable.
We're talking about Ghost.
Yes.
Well, and part of it you can't blame them because it's like this.
No, I will. I'll blame them.
This cavern of like a year where they could have put out any movie and it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. There was only one thing you were looking forward to.
Yeah.
And that was, Endgame.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. And there was literally only one thing in this movie that mattered.
The post-credit scene.
And it was the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And if you ever have a friend that's walking through Marvel and they're just short on time, that's one of the things where I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp because it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
the humor is top notch.
And
sure.
and you get, Randall Park. Like you get
Yeah,
Randall
that's
Park.
right,
Like he's elite.
Yeah, he is.
So
but
good.
you could just like not watch the movie and just watch the post-credit scene, explain who that old woman is, and you're good. Like you could just do that, you know, if you needed to. But let's talk about Ghost for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, motive really wasn't there for me. Like I wasn't buying it.
Again, another thing, it's like you don't see that scene, you just hear it described.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then like visually, she had some cool powers. Like the phasing. They eventually described it as like quantum.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think the problem was the fact that she didn't have enough control over her powers.
Yeah.
For it to seem menacing.
Yeah.
I think she had more control over her powers, it would have been more menacing because you could see her being more exact with what she was doing.
Yeah.
Where it seemed like she was like almost like an out of control child in some ways, like in the sense of like she couldn't always like do what she wanted to do when she wanted to do it.
I feel like she was a little out of control for no reason. Like I feel like they portrayed her as like really off the rails.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think it was justified. I don't know. It was,
I think part of it was like it was almost like her mind was deteriorating as like everything else was deteriorating.
Yeah.
So like I think that's kind of what they were trying to get at, was that she couldn't quite grasp what was going on all the time. So it did take away from her character in a way, because like it took away from the idea of her having a clear motive, like we've seen in other good villain stories, and it made her more chaotic, but not in a like intimidating way, in a like I'm not sure what's actually happening kind of way.
yeah.
Yeah. I just, again, kind of forgettable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say.
I will say this. I do believe that she will have a mini redemption arc in Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I do think that she might redeem this performance in this movie.
Okay. Similar to Caecilius, like, I'm really intrigued. Do you have your grade right now?
Yeah, I have a grade.
Okay, what is it?
For Ghost?
For Ghost.
It's an F, yeah.
Okay, see, again, I'm just like, I know it's, man, she's not great, and you can have whatever grade you want, but I don't think she'd be, I'm going F+. I just can't make it an F, because in my mind, that's such a low, where it's like, although, like, she really didn't offer much, if now that I think about it
nothing
again.
at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the D.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's great.
No, it would be cool if in like Thunderbolts you finally get that moment where like she's been able to get her mind right and she can start controlling her powers to where she becomes something of a force, whether it be for good or bad or for whatever. But like you get to see her actually be potentially like in control of what she is doing.
Yeah. Well, just know February 2024, I did say that she would have the little mini redemption arc. So just know that.
Dude, so what did we give Yellow Jacket? Do you have those notes still from last week?
I mean, I do.
Is it easy to find? I can have some filler as you look.
Just fill it up.
All right. So Ghost, clearly not a good villain. What did you gave a D for Ghost?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing special about Ghost. Nothing special about Yellow Jacket.
I mean, Yellow Jacket got 2 Fs and a D-.
There you go. Yeah, dude. So total, we have 3 Fs, an F+, a D-, and a D.
Yeah,
and a D.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm bad. You guys know I'm bad with math.
Yeah,
I'm over
D,
here like
D-, and then would you say 3 F?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
So, and what I was in my head right there, I was thinking, okay, wow, the Ant-Man trilogy went from having awful villains.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not talking about him right now, but
right.
like I know that Quantumania was not a good movie, but dude, I still think Kang was a great villain.
And I think he could have cemented himself as a phenomenal villain if they would have ended the movie the way I wanted to end the movie.
I know. Yeah, that's right. That does take away some, but
yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk about that in another moment. But I was just thinking, like, because in my head I was like, man, poor Ant-Man. And I was like, oh, wait, well, the villain wasn't the problem in the third movie.
Yeah, no. It
was everything else.
It was everything else, yeah.
Well, that's another conversation. We'll get there.
We will, because we will grade Phase 4 at some point. Although, would that be Phase 5, technically? Anyways, who cares?
It would be, yeah.
Phase 3, continuing on. The second movie that took place in the year of waiting for Endgame.
Yep.
Was Captain Marvel, which was a prequel.
Took place in the 90s.
That's right. Took place in the 90s. Captain Marvel. There's kind of 2 villains. The Supreme Intelligence, which ran the Kree Society.
Yes.
And then Yon-Rogg, which was Jude Law's character.
Yes.
Jude Law.
So,
once again, pulling the talent for these movies.
Yeah. What if we start with Yon-Rogg? I actually thought he was decent. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, he was okay.
He wasn't stellar in my mind, but I don't think he like took away from that movie per se. What do you think, Shimano?
He was all right. I mean, there wasn't anything like super awesome about him. I mean, it was, I don't know. In a way, you kind of felt for him a little bit because he kind of got essentially betrayed by Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I think we generally think of the villain betraying the hero, but in this it was kind of like the hero, coming to her, own thoughts and, betraying a part of her team.
Right.
So, I think, he was
very good point.
I think in a lot of ways he probably felt like he was, the one getting hurt, not the other way around.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was just kind of like a mediocre, just kind of there kind of person.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, so what are you guys going to grade him?
C?
D minus.
D minus?
Yeah.
Wow, you're like the freaking Russian judges over here tonight, dude. You're going to... Bro, I just think you didn't like the movie. I think if you isolate his performance and, like, the role he played in that movie, I don't think it's anywhere near a D minus.
I'm going to stick with a D minus.
Wow. Yeah. I was going to say a C.
Okay.
But I could have argued for a C+. Like,
wow.
I don't think... I think that's way off. But, again, you're entitled to your own misinformed opinion. Supreme Intelligence, kind of like Dormammu. You only get a little bit of the Supreme Intelligence. Yeah. But the Supreme Intelligence is technically the main villain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't really care about this movie, I guess. Maybe I'm sexist. I don't know. But I just wasn't, just really wasn't that great. And Supreme Intelligence was kind of, what did you guys think?
D plus.
D plus,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
D plus. I don't really care. Like
D.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the full D spread.
All right. So D plus, D, and D minus.
Yeah, D minus.
Okay.
I don't really like villains that don't have a
face,
a presence,
I'll try to use more
a physical presence of some sort, because it makes it harder to like. It once again, it's like, how do you develop a motive for something that doesn't have a physical, presence?
Yeah, it's true.
Correct. Because even like I was high on Zemo. Zemo was never physically threatening to others.
Yeah.
But he had to get his hands dirty physically to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to inhabit the same space as the hero at some point.
It's funny
too.
you say that, Shimano. Like it's hard to do that, right? But then like Terminator 2 did that just fine. Like Skynet, like. It gives a motive to
But it has
AI.
a physical presence. Like, you get Robert Patrick, as one of the most terrifying ideas, of any, like, thing. But he had that physical embodiment, though. Like, it gave them something a physical entity for you to, like, look at and, like, understand.
Yeah, I guess you're right there. Yeah.
It's one of the main reasons why there's always this push in anything to do with artificial intelligence or things like that, it's for them to have a physical body, is because they have to. That is how you connect with them, is them having some sort of physical form.
Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultron. Yes. Ultron. Terminator 2 does it with them inhabiting, because there's no real reason for them to inhabit physical bodies in the Terminator series.
Correct. Yeah.
They could have just done. They could just had
nukes,
ships.
yeah.
Do you really need Terminators? Like, do you like for real? You could just airstrikes, stuff like that.
Good point.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So we've finally gotten through the slop of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel. And again, it's not because these movies are just bad, but we were, as a fandom, we were also just...
We were distracted.
There was nothing like that year of waiting, probably that will ever happen again.
Yeah.
It'll be tough to do.
In cinema...
Yeah, it'll be tough to do.
It'll be tough to beat that year of anticipation. Just the amount of Reddit theory pages I looked at.
Yeah.
I know.
You get lost.
How many Reddit pages were like shut down because they were so full?
Yeah,
they had to move over to.
They'd go to like volume 16.
Yeah.
Like this is the 16th time that they've posted this.
It would be really fun to go back and just see like where everything went.
Yeah.
Like how many people were close? How many people were like, it seemed compelling at the time, but were like,
I want to
nowhere in the ballpark.
I want to know how many people had 5 years in the future. That still is the biggest shock to me.
Yeah.
Even now, I remember the theater was so quiet because Thanos dies.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about Endgame, by the way.
That's next.
Because we're doing it.
Yes.
We're talking about Endgame. We're talking about Thanos again. But Thanos gets killed 15 minutes into Endgame by Thor. And I remember thinking, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What? We have 3 hours of this movie. There's still 2 hours and 40 minutes. What's going on?
Yeah.
Screen goes black. 5 years later, everything's thrown out. Every theory I had is gone.
Gone.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over.
What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
How on earth are they gonna do this?
It's like,
Yes.
what? Okay, so in light of that, we're not reviewing Endgame, although that'd be fun. We've done it before.
We have.
Thanos. Again,
Yes.
should we give him another grade, like separate from Infinity War now, I guess, like his Endgame performance, or
I mean, if you want to,
he's
a
total A plus
Yes.
across the board, right? We're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'd still get an A plus from me out of the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
And I think one of the most important things that happens in this movie is actually in those first 10 minutes, it's him cementing all of his motives.
That's right.
Like when he just chooses to destroy the stones in the in the gauntlet, that is him cementing every motive, because there's always this idea with villains or people who have these thoughts, and it's yes, you have these clear motives, maybe this high in the sky motives, but when it comes down to it, are you going to take power and abuse it, or are you actually going to fulfill what you think, what you thought, whether you think it was good or not? He had these very clear motives, and this very he thought he was doing the right thing by destroying half the universe, and it really cements everything about him as Thanos when he completes it, and he's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And he is done.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback off that real quick?
Yeah.
So this is me agreeing with you and adding another layer to that. Then later in the movie, you get when you think about time, it's a 2014 version of Thanos who sees him die in the future. And then that version of Thanos says, and that is destiny fulfilled. Mm-hmm. He's literally, another version of Thanos in time is cementing that cementing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never been someone more, he has zero doubt.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has zero
Yeah.
doubt in his goal and his
It's
he is
almost-
so justified.
It's almost inspiring
his
to
mind.
him,
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
almost what?
In 2014,
Oh,
the
inspiring.
2014 version of it is almost inspiring because he
Yes.
sees his version of himself, and he's like, he must have succeeded.
Yes.
So therefore,
Lights a fire in him.
Yeah, and that's the insanity of it. Is it's almost like this idea of his death is actually a positive in his mind, because he's like, I completed my task.
He believes so much in the cause that we talked about being cemented down, that he literally goes to war with the entire Avengers to keep it from being undone. He's in 2014. He has no. He can focus on his own timeline. He can focus on his own timeline, getting to to that end goal, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? He says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to piggyback.
We're going to go help my other
and we're going to go
version.
we're going to go piggyback into the future and try to prevent this from ever being undone. And that's how dedicated he is to his cause.
That is interesting. I never really thought about that, but that's a really good point.
Because listen, if it was like you or me, right, and we saw 9 years into the future, just like 2014 did, right, and we saw that you got everything you ever wanted, right? You've accomplished every goal, right? All your sports teams won and all that kind of stuff, right?
Sure, those are my goals.
Yeah, whatever they are, right?
Yeah.
I'm surface level here, right?
Okay.
Would you not just live your life to the fullest to get to that point, just knowing that you've accomplished those things, right?
That's a really good point. That's a very good point.
But Thanos says, no, bump that. Let's go and put a wedge in between the people trying to stop this.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating point I've never thought about. And that just shows you, again, how committed he is to his idea.
Right. Yeah.
That's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Different layers, man.
Yeah, so many layers, dude. Yeah. So, okay. So, again, whether we grade him individually on Infinity War and then individually on Endgame, it's A+ either way. So it stays as an A+ overall. He is the greatest villain in Marvel's history. More than likely, will always be the greatest villain in Marvel's history.
Yeah.
More than likely. So, remarkable. And again, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but something I really loved about this movie was in Infinity War, he uses the gauntlet so obviously. You see the colors of the stones lighting up in the ways that he uses it. Mm-hmm. And you start to have this thought okay, what is he without the gauntlet? Well, not actually. I didn't actually think that. But some people might say, what is he without the gauntlet?
Yeah.
And then in Endgame, you see what he is without the gauntlet.
Yeah, he doesn't have it, but
he's still a force.
He's working Thor, Cap, Iron Man. They're all they're all pretty much doomed until
Captain Marvel shows up.
Yeah, until Captain Marvel shows up, and the rest of everyone shows up.
Yeah, and the rest of everyone. Yeah,
but yeah, Captain Marvel for sure. Like she's the one who actually goes toe to toe with him, and he actually has to use the gauntlet to fight her.
No, he doesn't use the gauntlet. That's just cool. He uses the Power Stone,
yeah.
which is such a freaking cool scene. Gosh, man. Okay, so Thanos stays as an A+ across the board.
Yes.
There is it is funny how Marvel has done this in phases 2 and 3.
Yes.
They end with a movie after an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strange.
They end with Ant-Man after Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
They end with in phase 2, and then in phase 3 they end with Spider-Man: Far From Home after Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not just ride the high, right?
Yeah.
Or just like, I don't know, it feels like the Avengers movie should be like the end cap.
Yes.
You know, not even like a high, but just like necessarily, but like an end cap at the very least.
Right, yeah.
And it technically is, but it is weird that, like, you know, Far From Home came out, I believe, in July, because they were on summer vacation in that movie. I don't think it was like a winter movie.
No,
I'm pretty sure it was just a couple months later.
I think it was. Spider-Man releases usually are July. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. And then, you know, you get a long time because of COVID.
Yes.
Before we kind of get back into the MCU after Far From Home. But anyways, that's another discussion. Let's just talk about the villain of Far From Home, which was just Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
That's for all the Swifties out there. He's the villain. Mysterio.
Yes.
Yeah, Mysterio. I thought they did a very interesting job with him the first part of the movie before the trickery is revealed. Yes. I think that they kind of built him up like he was. Oh, they had a multiversal feel to him, right? Like they were trying to convince you like that, right? But then he's just a guy with toys, right?
Yep.
Which we shouldn't have been shocked by that because of who his character has been in the comics and the animated series. Like he's just a guy with toys.
Yeah.
But I do think Jake brings a little bit of like charisma and kind of fun element to the role. But I mean, with that being said, like he was only okay. Like Mysterio was only okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I do feel like he loses a little something after like the reveal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
But you know, I do think he, like you said, he does have that charisma. He doesn't He feels like he could be a multiversal like.
I think
guy.
they would have left it like that. I feel like it would have been a little bit more.
Wait, if they would have left it like what?
He was actually from the multiverse.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think we've got some radically different thoughts on this.
Okay, please.
I think maybe not him, but his impact is massive, and what he accomplishes, I think, is really impressive.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Like the ending his
alone,
death, and the video, and revealing Peter Parker's
causes
identity
the multiversal
is so significant, and it's like
essentially breaks the multiverse.
Yeah, like
in a way,
that's right. He pulls that off.
That's
true.
Good
So
point.
I actually was very impressed with Mysterio. I wouldn't say he's an A for me. He's in the B's. I'm trying to think of where in the B's, but I was assuming you were going to put him in the C's.
I am.
Based on your answer.
I sure am.
You saw how I meant to look at you?
Yeah. I sure am.
When you said he was just all right, I was thinking, ooh, where though? C+?
C+, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So like a 78, 79?
Yeah. I was going to go with a B-.
He's in the B's for me. He's in the 80s. Because again, another good example of like, I don't need, it doesn't have to have I think Far From Home is a good movie. I enjoy it. He doesn't have to be an A. He just has to serve a role. And he does. Like, he's constantly outwitting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Constantly. Throughout the whole movie.
But then again, like,
plays him hard.
Teenager, right? He's a teenager.
I think the reveal's amazing. The reveal scene where he takes the glasses off and everyone's in the bar that's fake.
Yeah.
And you learn about all his crew that he's recruited, people who are angry at Tony Stark, and that's amazing. The doctor the scientist from the first
Iron Man.
Man.
Yeah.
Like he's on the wing with Dean Pelton on the stage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when Tony Stark makes fun of his thing, barf.
Yeah. That's right.
Like I thought like the motive made sense. So
yeah.
Again, I'm not saying he's an A, but I'd give him a solid B for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was again like just what he was able to accomplish is very impressive.
I mean, yeah, you're right. He did accomplish it. Like the ending there, like that's massive. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You might have convinced me to do a B minus.
Okay, sweet.
I'll move him up.
I'm proud. I'm proud.
Because he actually has outcome.
Yeah, exactly. He makes an impact. Like he causes Peter Parker to lose his mind in the next movie, and like you said, Shimada, like he essentially causes the multiverse break.
And the idea that like even after his death, he was causing things to like he purposefully had something in place if he were to die to still like win.
Exactly.
You know,
you guys swayed me. Congrats.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. You just saw Jake Gyllenhaal and you're like, nah, it's a C at most.
How dare he? No.
Okay. Well, with that, we are done.
We've come to
phase 3
conclusion. Yeah,
that's right. Do you want to run through the numbers?
Let's run through them.
The grades.
Alrighty. I have the titles this time, T-Roll.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Civil War. We graded Zemo out as a 2 Bs and an A minus.
That's right.
All right. Doctor Strange. We had 2 villains here. We graded Mads Mikkelsen as an F plus and a 2 Ds. All right. And then Dormammu.
Who was the F? You were the F plus.
I was
for
the
sure.
F+. Oh, for sure.
That
for
was
sure.
hilarious.
Doctor Strange. Oh no, sorry. Dormammu. D plus times 3.
Times
so
3.
all of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We had a B plus, an A minus, and a B. Yeah.
I might have. Was I the B? I was probably the B. Yeah, I think so. Shimada, you probably gave Ego a B plus.
No, I did B plus.
Oh,
yeah.
so you gave the A or
Yeah.
A minus?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anybody feels like they need to change any of these, let me know and I'll change it. But
Okay.
all right. Spider-Man, Homecoming.
Vulture.
We had 2 A minuses and an A.
Yep.
So,
Makes sense.
Ragnarok, 2 A minuses and an A.
Okay. So Hela and Vulture basically had the same, which I think is pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Black Panther,
Killmonger,
A plus times 3.
There you go.
And then we had Claw. He was at a C and a C plus times 2.
Okay.
So, yep. All right. Infinity War, A plus times 3.
Thanos, yep.
Ant-Man,
Ghost,
F plus, F and D. Captain Marvel.
Yon-Rog.
Yep. We got a D minus and then 2 C minuses.
Yep.
And then the Supreme Intelligence was all the Ds.
All 3 of them.
All 3 Ds. Yep.
3 Ds for the Supreme Intelligence.
Yep. There you go. Endgame. A pluses across the board.
That's right.
And then we finish off with Spider-Man 2 with 2 B minuses and a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's for Mysterio. So that's good. Thanks you for running through the numbers. We're almost done here, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick. No one else besides Killmonger and Thanos has all A pluses.
Unanimous
right?
A pluses.
no one else got a single A plus.
Oh, is that right? No one last week.
Yeah.
Last week.
Oh, last week maybe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I meant between both.
Yes.
All the phases.
Yes. Loki probably did.
Loki probably did.
Oh no, wait.
Actually,
I think one of us, had to bump it up.
Okay. A plus was given twice.
Okay, to who?
Let's see.
Loki.
It was probably Loki and Avengers.
It was Loki and Avengers. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
2 A pluses and an A.
2 A pluses and an A.
Yep.
So and you know what? I think that's fair. I think Loki's performance in Avengers, while amazing, if I'm honest, is probably just slightly below like Killmonger and Thanos.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that's fair. Okay. Well, that's. I don't think anyone else is touching that. I mean, this is a spoiler alert here, but I mean, villains in the next phase.
Oof. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll come back to review it. We'll come back to give grades on phase 4.
It may not be next week or
that's
this
right.
month.
It's probably not next week, but this will be a series. We'll kind of open back up because it is fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you boys ready to shut it down?
I want to mention this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I do think I'm just putting out here now, just so it's recorded and it's live, and like we have it to save. All right.
Okay.
We do need to dedicate a whole episode to talking about like this Mount Everest of Heath Ledger and who's coming the closest to this in all villains. Like, I don't know. We got to put it out there.
All villains.
I mean, honestly,
beyond like superhero stuff.
Only movies or movies and TV shows?
I'll stick with movies.
Stick with
movies. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to definitely dive deeper into that.
And I'd say a caveat would be unless there's a medium where there's a villain that goes movies and TV shows all together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a fun idea. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Let's do that sometime.
Okay.
With that in mind, boys, big shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Please share this podcast with all of your Marvel friends. I think this is a fun one that a lot of people will enjoy. So please share it with your Marvel friends. And oh man, we should have gotten Ryan. We should have got Ryan on this. Just let him rant about Marvel villains the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What were we thinking? Ryan, if you're still listening, shoot us a text and give us your thoughts.
We'll bring it up on
Maybe
the start of Phase 4.
Maybe we should get him as a guest for Phase 4. He would go in. Oof. Okay. Anyways, maybe we'll get a special Ryan's rants.
Phase 4.
In Phase 4. Anyways, thank you to everyone for listening. Please come back next week for my good friends Sandy and Shimano. This is T-Roll saying thank you again for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.